That's what got them thinking, the Cursor team, that maybe plugins and extensions, they're cool, but
They're still stuck in the old way of thinking.
yeah, they're like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg, you know?
So
At first, they were building it for themselves.
what do you mean?
They were their own ideal user, a whole new editor, and at the heart of it is this, get this, the tab function.
Okay, cab, like what's so special about that?
Yeah.
We've all used
Trained this model on a massive amount of data, and it's learned to predict your next.
wild, but predicting code like that, it must be incredibly complex. The AI needs to see the forests, not just the trees.
Precisely. And then it uses those predictions to refine the suggestions even further.
So it's like the AI is thinking multiple steps ahead, always trying to anticipate your next move.
You know how into AI and programming we are? So we had to do a deep dive on this Lex Fridman podcast with the team behind Cursor.
Cursor.
Yeah, it's this crazy new code editor, really pushing the boundaries.
Oh, I've heard of it. They use AI in a whole new way, right?
Exactly. And get this, the team all started as Vim users. Can you believe that?
Wow. Hardcore. So what made them switch?
Well, they were drawn to VS Code, for the AI assistants, especially GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, makes sense. Copilot was a game changer.
Totally. But with these guys, it was the release of GPT-4 that's their aha moment. Like, GPT-4 could totally revolutionize how we code.
Okay, I'm starting to see it now. GPT-4's power, even compared to earlier models, it's something else.
And that's what got them thinking, the Cursor team, that maybe plugins and extensions, they're cool, but
They're still stuck in the old way of thinking.
yeah, they're like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg,
So what'd they do?
They decided to build a whole new editor from the ground up, designed for this new era of AI.
Bold move. I like it. So they're building this for everyone.
Actually, at first, they were building it for themselves.
What do you mean?
They were their own ideal users, experienced programmers who wanted to use AI in ways nobody had even thought of yet.
So they needed Cursor, so they built it.
That's exactly it. They were scratching their own itch, you know? So they build this whole new editor, and at the heart of it is this, get this, the tab function.
Okay, tab, like what's so special about that?
Yeah?
We've all used tab.
No, you see, this isn't the tab you're used to. This is something else entirely. It's like Cursor's killer feature.
Really? So
Yeah.
what does it do? Does it just autocomplete your code?
Autocomplete. Please, this is way beyond that. We're talking predicting entire blocks of code, sometimes even edits across multiple files, just like that.
Whoa, hold on. How is that even possible? Is it reading your mind or something?
It's like magic, but it's not mind reading. It's all about prediction.
Prediction? Okay, so how does it actually predict what you're going to code next?
Well, they've trained this model on a massive amount of data, and it's learned to predict your next diff.
Diff. You mean like the difference between your current code and where you want it to be?
Exactly. And it's not just about code completion. It can even jump you to the right file, suggest terminal commands. It's like having a super-powered coding buddy who's always one step ahead.
That's wild, but predicting code like that, it must be incredibly complex. How do they make it work so seamlessly?
Well, one of the keys is something called sparse models.
Sparse models, what are those?
So for this tab function to work, it needs to look at everything, your current code, the entire project, even your coding style.
That's a ton of information to process.
Exactly, and that's where sparse models come in. They're designed to handle that complexity and still give you predictions instantly.
So it's like the AI needs to see the forests, not just the trees.
Precisely. But there's another trick up their sleeve, something called speculative edits.
Okay, now you're just using fancy words to confuse me.
No, it's actually pretty cool. So imagine the AI is constantly making these micro predictions about your next move, and then it uses those predictions to refine the suggestions even further.
So it's like the AI is thinking multiple steps ahead, always trying to anticipate your next move.
That's a great way to put it. But all of this means nothing if it's slow, right? Users want speed.
Absolutely. Even a slight delay would ruin the whole experience.
They knew that from the start, so they put a ton of work into optimization, caching, the whole 9 yards.
And did they nail it? Does it feel as fast as they claim?
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly responsive, almost like an extension of your own thoughts. It's amazing.
So you've got this AI generating all this code for you, but how do you make sense of it all? I mean, it can't just be walls of text, right?
That's a really good point, and it's something the Cursor team thought about a lot. The user experience is critical.
Because nobody wants to go through line by line trying to figure out what changed.
Exactly. It can be totally overwhelming. So Cursor actually experimented with a bunch of different diff interfaces.
Diff interfaces, you mean like how they show you the changes the AI made?
Exactly. They started with simple strike-throughs, the old school way.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a nightmare to decipher sometimes.
Totally. So they quickly realized that wasn't going to cut it. They needed something smarter, something more visual.
And that's where these highlighted boxes come in, right? I saw those in the demo. It looks way better.
It's a huge improvement. You can instantly see what's changed, and it's way easier on the eyes.
But it's more than just aesthetics, right? There's some actual intelligence behind how they highlight the changes.
Oh, absolutely. They're developing these advanced diff algorithms that can understand the code and highlight what's important, like potential bugs, logic changes, anything you need to pay close attention to.
So it's like having an AI-powered code reviewer built right into the editor.
You got it. The goal is to reduce the mental load on the programmer. You don't have to scrutinize every single change. You can focus on the stuff that really matters.
Now, that's what I call helpful. And speaking of helpful, you mentioned something earlier about Shadow Workspaces. What in the world is that?
Oh, man, this is where things get really wild. So imagine having a team of AI assistants working in the background, constantly testing and iterating on your code.
Hold on, so while I'm coding, there's like a whole other AI coding session happening alongside me.
You got it. And it's not just coding along, it's providing feedback in real time, even fixing issues it finds.
Okay, now that's what I call true collaboration. But how does it actually work? How can they give the AI that level of access?
They're using something called the Language Server Protocol, or LSP for short.
LSP, okay, what's so special about that?
It's this really powerful protocol that allows the AI model to tap into deep code analysis tools, things like type checking and linting.
Ah, I see. So it's not just moving text around. It actually understands the code on a deeper level.
Precisely. And here's the really impressive part. They want this to work seamlessly across different operating systems.
Wait, seriously? Anyone who's done cross-platform development knows that's a nightmare.
Tell me about it, but they've come up with some really innovative solutions using file systems and memory management in clever ways.
That's seriously impressive. So what's the end game here? Where do they see this going?
They envision a future where AI agents handle more and more of those tedious tasks that slow programmers down, freeing us up to focus on the bigger picture.
So like that whole database migration they talked about on the podcast, just tell the AI to handle it.
Exactly. And not just migrations. Imagine these AI agents working overnight, cleaning up your code, optimizing performance, even writing documentation.
Okay, now that sounds almost too good to be true. Are we really headed for a world where AI does all the coding?
So are we all out of a job then? Is AI going to take over all the coding?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And the Cursor team, they've definitely given it some thought.
Well, that's a relief. I mean, I'm all for progress and everything, but I'm not ready to retire my keyboard just yet.
You're safe for now, don't worry. They see it more as AI is here to empower us, not replace us.
Okay, good. I like the sound of that. Make us better coders, not obsolete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let the AI handle the tedious stuff, the boilerplate, the migrations, all those repetitive tasks that make us want to bang our heads against the keyboard.
Freeing us up for the fun stuff, the creative problem solving. That's what I love about coding anyway.
Absolutely. It's all about this partnership, human creativity, and AI working together, pushing each other to new heights.
No, that's a future I can get behind. But you mentioned something earlier about Cursor using synthetic data to train its AI. What exactly is that?
Right. So using real-world code to train these models, it has its downsides.
How so?
Well, real-world code, it can be messy, poorly documented, not always the best example to learn from.
So how do you teach an AI to code if you don't have enough good examples?
That's where synthetic data comes in. It's like artificial code, but designed to be super realistic, specifically to train the AI.
Interesting. So how do they create this synthetic data?
They've got a few tricks up their sleeves. One method is called distillation.
Distillation. Okay, you're losing me a bit here.
So imagine using a really powerful AI, a real heavyweight, to generate training data for a smaller, more specialized AI.
So it's like learning from the best of the best.
Exactly. And because it's synthetic, they can fine-tune it, control the difficulty, really push the AI in ways they couldn't with real-world code.
That's pretty clever. So it sounds like this whole synthetic data thing is key to making their AI so powerful.
Absolutely. It's like giving the AI a supercharged training regimen, pushing it to its limits.
This has been fascinating, really eye-opening stuff. It seems like we're on the verge of a whole new era in programming thanks to AI.
It's an exciting time to be a coder, that's for sure. Who knows what the future holds, but with tools like Cursor emerging, the possibilities seem endless.
They really do. So here's a question for everyone listening. If you could have AI instantly turn your coding ideas into reality, what would you build? Would we even call it programming anymore? Or would it be something totally different, something more like pure creation? That's something to think about. And until next time, happy coding.